because that's the I'd say the last phase between wena and the rest of the world. So if you don't learn as much as you can in high school, umhlaba uzokugwinya. If you don't have a strong backbone by then, you'll be kite. Ngasave wa sport mina kahle kahle. Had it not been for handball, angazi ukuthi umuntu ngabe kuphi manje. Like you put it right when you say it wasn't just a moment.
Of course.
It was years and years of pain, learning, exposure. That instills a lot in a child. Gives them confidence. It shows that this guy is there, even for what we call a stupid match. And once they know that they are important to you, that's the sign to them to say, this is what a father is. And what will happen is you'll be in your deathbed. Why didn't you teach me how to be a father? So I lost it and I'm shy.
Bruce,
thank
you for coming and thank you for waiting through your uncle and nyaga that you went through today.
Stress buff.
I always say that the adversary typhoon when we make gains. I want to see sesingena go 18 area yake. We are kick, we are scream. We are kick, we are scream. But without wasting time, let's get into it.
Short, buff.
I need you to please tell me, for the sake of the person that's watching, who to ubaba umpolikwabe ubani. And just as much as you can go, there's no limitation. Please, yenaba malum.
Nami angizazi mfethu, I'm still in the journey of finding myself, so join me. I know. Mpoza igama lami lesithu Bruce lekwape sibongo sika baba ke leso. So grew up in Soweto, Etopsi. I'm the last born of 3 siblings.
Okay.
Nabo sesteri iminkunzi. Esibayeni.
Inkunzi ekugcineni.
Ekugcineni. Mara ngoba yimi umjita ngiyacabanga ukuthi nasekuqaleni yimi.
I think based on the African identity, yes.
So that's me, buff.
And mina obviously ngihlala nawe usukhulile. So maybe run us through ukuthi khulela va ugeleze va, and what did your childhood look like?
That will take an hour and a half.
I see feed. See God.
No, mina ngikhulele eDopsi ne. Njengoba ngishilo ngizalwa nabo sister abayi2.
Yes.
Ngageleza eSinyamo Primary School, ngageleza nesinye isigela. Well, Sinyamo was a Sotho speaking Skela, and then I moved from the Sotho one to Setswana, which is Ludwig Primary School. then ngaye eMangala, and then from there high school yami ngathenda eFort. Yeah, kulapho ke ngaqala ke ngikhula ngiba exposed kwizinto eziningi yabo.
Yeah.
Everything that you can think of as a young man, yabona.
As a young man, yes.
Yeah, because I believe ukuthi high school is the most important part of us.
Yeah.
Because that's the I'd say the last phase between wena and the rest of the world. So if you don't learn as much as you can in high school, umhlaba uzokugwinya. If you don't have a strong backbone by then, you'll be kite. But otherwise, yeah, man, that's me. I think growing up was a bit hard, but also nice, because as a machita, you are given that leeway, or should I say space, so good ube all over around knowing umchita, you'll be able to take care of yourselves.
Yes.
But sometimes as amajita siyakudinga lokho ukuthi hey woza la kwenzakalani yabo, where you are guided and protected and given direction ukuthi no hayi ngathi uyalahleka ke buya la na indlela. So yeah, it was great growing up. I think njengoba besisho earlier ukuthi ngasave isport mina kahle. Had it not been for handball angazi ukuthi umuntu ngabe kuphi manje.
Man.
Because then I think it was the time where most abantu ekasi crime was just nje one of the biggest things ever. Even not just crime, but nje just uphuma endleleni.
Yeah.
You know, ulale ngaphandle ungabuye ejardini, not study, you know, ube nje inhlongandlebe nje ejardini ekasi. There was that ripeness yokuthi umZulu umtswana yabo, so we'd fight over territory over that nje, you know. So luckily mina ekuseni bengiyaskela, after iskela shay homework ngiyachinja ngiyodlala isports. So there was no time yokulingara nje and just wonder ukuthi ngiyoba yini yabo. So that's me growing up.
I mean, of course, last khulila khona lokishini. I mean, you say Dobsy. And I think just a bit ngaphandle being issued to me between Diepkloof and Meadowlands. And just the contrast Yamakase to people might think more Pumesoweto, and that's not the truth. The truth is Lonkika Siline Ndoyakona at a certain time.
Sure, please.
And even if Dobsy then was about that, it might not be Dobsy now. It might be just a totally different space. Nanoma kunjalo futhi, even amakasa different, have got their own footprint, their own specific culture in a way. However, I think there are common challenges, common things that sort of unite us as Sowetans, or maybe townshippers in a way. And so I mean, I want to bring, before we go back into your upbringing, I want to just quickly contrast this as Sasuga as to where you are now. What do you do on a regular work day? Could you give us a spectrum of what you do on a regular work day? Then we'll swing back to your upbringing.
All right. Currently, we are running our business Nonkoska's called Lekwape Consulting. So there I do stakeholder and relationship management. So that's my niche when it comes to stakeholder engagement, stakeholder mapping, stakeholder negotiations, be it government entities, NGOs, communities. I'm that guy. I just want to be having a conversation about, you know. Getting the linkages between this person and that person, the person up there and the person down there, and everything in between. So that's what I love doing. Meeting people, talking, finding out what is it that we can help with. And how we can better your current situation, your working, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And what are some of the situations that you maybe just because I mean I think I understand your work in a way, but for someone who does not know what this entails, without really going into the technicalities here, just to show ukuthi mhlawumbe on a regular day you would be mhlawumbe endaweni ethize nenza okuthize, like can you maybe just run through that quickly?
Okay, I'll quickly go through one of our recent projects that we've done, Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, which was under gender-based violence.
Yes.
So what it entailed was we needed to get stakeholders that actually do the work, that actually work in the ground and assist all the GBV, be it victims, be it giving out information or empowering people who are with GBV in.
Okay.
So I would go into a remote area. Like for instance, now we did one in Inanda as well as in Mankweng in Limpopo.
Okay.
So what I do is I would go into, for instance, Inanda. I would go into Inanda and find out what are the NGOs that work within Inanda under GBV banner.
Yes.
And from there, I would align them and single them out and find out what is it that they do, and if it speaks back to the national, what do you call it? The name just escaped me.
Yeah.
But there's a document that was taken out by the government to say that all the NGOs need to speak back to that specific document.
Okay.
So it's different levels. I think there's about 7 or 8 levels of them. So I would sit and check which level do they speak to and align them so that we have all necessary levels represented within the NGOs that I pick up and speak to, you know. So that's what I did, and we got quite a number of NGOs that operate within Inanda as well as Mankweng, and we put them together and we come up with what we call a combat team.
Yeah.
So in a way, we are better enabling them to say work better together as opposed to silos.
Yes.
You might find that as an NGO, you do the steps from 1 up until 7, and by the time you reach 7, there's a hard wall that you face.
Yeah.
Kanti in the same area that you operate in, there's a specific NPO or NGO that's there that can assist you with bypassing that stage that you find it hard to bypass. So what we do is we form a relationship between them, and they understand each other, they know each other, and they constantly in communication with each other to say this is what we've done, which also helps in getting the cases better and getting the noise out there, you know? So that's what I did, and in so doing, now with the rest of the team, we've got the gender-based mobile team in Inanda as well as in Mankweng.
Nice. Good stuff. So I think then around you, because you are carrying out a certain role.
Yes.
But around you, there would be other professionals, psychologists, social workers, and even I'm saying that to just paint a picture. When such projects and programs are run, it is a matter of battling some of the issues that we are touching on today.
Yes, sir.
In pertaining to the boy child.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll come back to this. I just wanted to do this so that we are better introduced. You know, now everyone knows Uti. I mean, whoever is listening knows Uti. Who are we speaking to really?
Yeah.
So ukhule kasi. I mean, you mentioned ukuthi ukhulele Dobsi nabo sister. And then edladlini boku umagogo or timer mama.
Lucky enough, namanje basasekhona. I'm grateful to God for that.
Yes, man.
Yeah, or late in time basasekhona at least. So that's the whole setup. So it was the 5 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, at some point we lived in a shack all 5 of us. So
Yeah.
it was quite a hassle. But hey, here I am.
And I think angithi manje mangabe sikhuluma neintwana zethu,
Yeah.
you can't help but sum things up. You can't help
Yes,
but
sir.
compress izinto.
Yeah.
Kuzolunga and then uzodlula and whatever.
Yeah.
But when you said at some point we lived in a shack, at some point is not a minute.
No, sir.
It's a certain period of time.
It's a certain period of time. But
And there were
yes,
challenges I could think of.
big challenges. I think one of the, not really an aha moment, but a life-changing moment was when I think I was around 14, 15 or so.
Yeah.
Ngibuye esikele and I found out ukuthi isana kunabantu endlini.
Yeah.
It was just me, so I had to learn to cook for myself on that day. Ngakhanda ipapa, ngakhanda nevors, one man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure maybe my sisters and my mom and dad don't remember even that day ever existed in my life, but
Yeah.
I was just like, yo, ngibuye esikele sengijwayele ukuthi hayi mangingena ejardini hayi olady likhona itime likhona,
Yes.
sister lizongisiza nyana la ngidinga usizo khona. And then
Yeah.
that day all of a sudden akunamuntu and I'm like, "Hey, zikibani manje?"
Zihwayile ngazo.
Zihwayile ngayi nginxunsa ngaze ngilayita istove ngaze ngibona ibhodi ukuthi kwenzakalani.
Yeah.
Mina mine was do your homework, prepare your things for isikela kusasa. Food will be served and then we good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, when you put it right when you say it wasn't just a moment.
Of course.
Yeah, it was years and years of pain, learning, exposures and decision making without you being aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I you know, Maskula, I remember as I said, I grew up between DK and Dofai and
Yeah.
DK Bothama, Dofai Gboledi, right? And asilingani
Yeah.
estradini mangabe sikhula kushuthi thingithi nje kule strat lesi kukhona abahlala 3 roomini like
Yeah.
kuba mawoledi 3 room stimela abonendo fire.
Yeah. I always find that funny ukuthi manje
Yeah.
mawuye back room uyakanjani.
La tabla kumele ungene uphumele ngale.
Imagine.
Thina besihlale D. So there was A, B, C, D, E. Next door E, F, G.
Oh,
Right? And we are right smack in the middle.
yo.
So I think yo man, the
Mina
previous
ngizithandela
government.
ngaphandle kanje.
And so mangabe uzocrossela mangabe ufuna ukuye backyard fanele
Yeah.
udevelop endlini udlule endlini mele ungene ngekhishi ungena ngekhishi na toilet ngayi
Yes, sir.
actually umnyango some passage nyane encane nje na toilet then to the right maybe to the left that's your kitchen.
Oh.
And from the kitchen that's the dining area, living area / second camera, fourth camera, third camera,
info.
and then ngapha ikamera la kamagogo and then bese umnyango ke wangale move ubhekile mawuphumela ngara umkhukhu ka uncle lapha yana umkhukhu ka omunye umagogo ngapha same family,
You know?
yeah. So and then kune gate encane emove avie eliphumela epassage away pass.
Here's the sad thing about that whole setup.
Yeah.
Till this day, we still have those.
And if population ivamise ukunganciphi.
Yeah. So clearly, there's anyway. Tingangeni kuyo leyo because then
Yeah.
it's another topic on its own that we need to really digress and
Yeah.
really sort out.
But now, Mina, why we're here is because of the boy child, and hence
Yes, sir.
I'm tapping into those early
Yes,
days coming up. And I just want to quickly go back, kancane. We were saying that but there was a period of you, some Queen, and I'm sure that would have advanced to something else. But at that moment, nisem Queen, aslingane kas, and amadladla walingani futhi
Yes, sir.
asigqokanga ngokufana.
Yeah.
Understand ba kuyabonakala uma ngabe uphuma ekhaya. I remember, I mean, vele besingalingani. And so then there's a certain way esixhasana ngayo singamajita ukuthi loyana cheese boy kanje nakanje. How was that experience for you?
I think for me it wasn't really that. I didn't feel that way that much because lucky enough ekhaya where we used to call Gagogo, there was a house, specific house, but because of the Sbaning, we opted to have a shack in the same yard.
Okay, so like a sub-family apart.
Yes. So namajense kasi abantu angikhula nabo, they knew ukuthi no ayikhaya kubo. So it's not the thing you would rent. So I had access of going into the house. Sometimes but it was just that thing you would see. Growing up as a child, you could see the difference. Okay, koni structure, kona nalesi, and true. Yeah, and especially in winter, masekada ziti winter. Endlini kuyabaswa because remember back in the days ekasi bekune itofu zamalahle jardin.
True.
So we would go and stay in the house and be warm nyana, and then you have to walk that short distance where it will take all the warmth
away. Yeah.
By the time we figure back to square one. You know, so I think it wasn't that much of a bad experience per se.
Yeah.
But it was just that uncomfortability of Utesan as now you must, you know, people start talking about I don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
You remain one.
You
know, mangishi oni lately I complain. Hey, light. Yeah, so. But otherwise, it wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, in your mind, you see the comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
And not just HRT, but also even Gabontwana, Gabobanban, and all that. And obviously you are aware and cognizant of things so cool and so by time at some point and so what was that looking up like? Could say like I need to maybe improve that. They had dreams and
I think there comes a time and there are certain decisions that you make without being aware of it. When as a person, like from an early age, I think this might come as a surprise or taboo to some of my family members because there was a time where it was quite a bit difficult. But you know, it didn't reach that certain level where I wished it would be.
Yeah.
So we had another family close by. Okay. So they would tell me, maybe we are scared. I'll tell you maybe go there,
yeah.
So I think for about a month I did it. Then one day, subconsciously in my mind, I just told myself, walk in there.
Yeah.
Good day for namhlanje uphelelala.
Yes.
I stopped in the middle of the street. And I looked left and I looked right and I turned left, went back home.
Yeah.
So that's why I need to go. Sometimes siyawayenza decisions without being aware, or maybe for those that believe, I think maybe it was the grace of the Lord that was still with me by then, which no, I'll guide you. Just don't resist, follow. Yeah, but for me now, I think from an early age, I always knew that I wanted better for myself.
Yeah.
It's just that maybe direction-wise and action-wise, okay, you want better, this is what you do. You want better, this is what you do. And then from here you do that. From here you do that. But otherwise...
So the Ukchiga was, in hindsight, looking back, do you think, was there a decision of saying, I want to stand? It was a decision of both. I want to stand, and this cannot be the final chapter of my life.
Okay.
This cannot be a constant chapter of my life where I rely on other people to survive as a person. I mean, I've always asked God, I've got two hands, two
everything tutu that you can think of that goes in pair as a human anatomy.
Yeah.
So I've got that in tutu. Why can't I use any of those two and,
Yeah.
better myself, So I always had it. That's why even it wasn't so hard for me sort of changing lanes in terms of following what everybody is doing, Gokasi. Because everybody was playing soccer, but I chose handball, which is totally different. Why go there? I mean, that everybody would always say, sports samantombazana.
And what influenced that decision?
But I'm not gonna lie. Till this day, for a long period of time, I started going back into my head, Uguti. Do I even remember the day I first joined the team? I don't.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is, once I was there, I flew as high as I possibly could. Bengi? I know, bengana chair. But for me, I want to bring you varne. Go koneni out sekasi u konjubani ntwana. I'm forgetting his name. Upapi.
Yeah.
Upapi, actually, I was sitting with him one day and he was telling me, when I very tada bo sababo chair.
Okay.
Ite utin ba for die. Leo ivar. Abo sister beng basaba thought no.
But that mascula.
Yeah.
That would have been something to be a bit shameful about.
Yes.
Masikula.
Yeah.
However, I know Ngam, I don't know about you.
No, it's the same thing.
Looking back, I know those who started much earlier than me. And besizwa ngabo ukuthi
yeah.
Kwenzakalani kuvayani and what have you. And I know I started early, but I think I could have started earlier.
Yeah.
But looking back, I think that's grace.
It's grace, buff. If there's one thing, angazi ukuthi belief system yakho injani, but whoever you believe in, if you believe strongly ukuthi ukhona, that's it. Mina ngikhulele in the Lutheran Church.
Okay, Luther.
Yeah, Luther.
Yeah.
Wrong phelela lapha.
Luther is very legalistic.
Bona baf. Bona. Luther was fit and proper. You either wear a tie or you don't. And if you don't, they'll tell you, Baba dangenwa ngetie.
Yeah.
This
is how a man should look.
Yes, sir. And they follow that through and through. And I think by the grace of the Lord, I was saved by that. Into wrong bafu. Why go through it? If Bati genendling or 8, 8:05, go wrong.
Yeah.
It does not need to study pants, but it's all about it's wrong.
And I'm glad this conversation got us here because I have a standing, or I just have a belief. Like you said, whatever is transcended in your life sort of steers your life towards that direction. Sir. And according to the teachings of Scripture, a man is the head of the house.
Yes, sir.
And if you are a head, then you are an authorian in your house. And Beskuluma growing up as rebels, rebelling against authority.
Yes, sir.
But at some point, you will be the authority in your house.
In your house,
yeah. And so I think, having said that, there are some things or some decisions that need to whoop you back into understanding ukuthi when it comes to whatever umthetho uzokulandela, the buck stops with you. And if there's no discipline in you to stand and say, okay, this ought to be like that and that ought to be like that, and mhlambe, let's say for instance that voice kamalume ethi polish icathulo zesikolo before you even go to play and all of that. If phela mongazi ukuthi icathulo zesikolo ziyapolishwa before
the night before,
the night before, then chances are njengami namhlanje uzofela ukuload ugesi. Uzothenga ibhiya kuqala before load ugesi.
I think yabona bafone bengisakhuluma nobafo earlier ukuthi there are certain things that we have forgotten as the black people. Sorry to put
we
the
are
race
black,
cards,
man.
ne?
We are black, singabantu abansundu.
Because mawukhumbula kahle mfethu, there was authority everywhere you would go. The time sikhula thina. Whether be it ukuthi umoshe in the next street. If there was an adult seeing you doing wrong, they would whoop you. Not because maybe bayak abuse, which we see now is happening. Not because bayak abuse or anything of that sort, because we had that understanding and we stood firm and wrong is wrong. You cannot walk in the street and then upuli festival and expect to just run away and that's that. No, you know. So because of that, and sometimes I feel uguti, well not sometimes, most of the time I feel uguti, the black child has now been left behind because unfortunately the black child needs guidance in terms of being shown uguti, this is the path that you ought to follow. And also not only just by showing them the path, but also always giving them a pat in the back to say, we see you.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately now we are now suffering the after effects of that lack thereof, you know, because I'd say our fathers, our uncles, were at a time where there was that transition between the white government and they knew what was to be the government. So that space was never filled, or that role was never played by our uncles or our fathers. Nabo bebe busy ngento zabo bafuna ukuyosebenza so that they can provide for the family. But now we were not looking for the provision thereof. Yes, we see it and we accept it and we uphold it high, but what we actually needed was for somebody to hold us by the hand and show us, this is how a father is, this is how a male figure is, you know, because it's important for us to understand gender roles per se, you know, because as a man you are expected to fix the window when it's broken. You are expected to cut the lawn, you're expected to wash the cars, which are gender roles, but there are father roles that one needs to play, that go just beyond the actions, that go just beyond the pat in the back, you know, that goes to an extent of going to your child's soccer match.
Yes.
If it means having pom-poms there as a father and what they call the thing, yabana?
Hey, malum.
Pom-pom or whatever they call it. Have those and root for your child, you know?
Yeah.
Son, don't worry, come back, let's try it again, you know?
Yeah.
That instills a lot in a child. Gives them confidence. It shows that this guy is there, even for what we call a stupid match. There's nothing that they win, it's just a school. They organize the game. You go and attend it.
Yeah. I think there's a real caring thought. When I was sitting here speaking to the social worker Isiyalo, asking what can we do for our boy child, because that's been the question.
Yeah.
And she's always said, I think it starts with the parent.
Yes.
And this is what I think is happening. Kukhona isikhathi where we are supposed to receive a baton.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not. Let me just say we're supposed to be receiving a baton.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a progressive thing. In my home, at least I know I don't wait for leso cut leso. But I think we need to receive a baton, and we don't get a baton.
Yeah.
Asiyitholi lento ubaba uthwele ubunzima nobuthwele ethulile angabusho nobusho ubunzima bakhe bokuphi, so siyambona ufele China asazi ukuthi ubulawa yini.
Yeah.
And then siyakhula, and then sooner or later usuyindoda mfana, but azange uzungitshela uthini yini obudoda.
Yeah.
You know, so there's two things engathi singadive kuzo. angifuni ilahleke lela point leli lokuthi singabantu silahle ubuntu bethu. That is a very important point. And then we have to go to this one now where we talk from handing over indodana to being maybe a insizwa into ubdoda. In that sense. So maybe let's start with this one of the baton, and it will lead us into ubud. How does it look like to you to hand over onto your child or onto your son in ubdoda?
It's scary, buff. Because first and foremost, you must remember what Nami, John being jail with Tabo uncle nama time, they were busy worrying about other things that really don't even form part of what it means being a man. Ukspana kusho ukuthi uyindoda, ukuba nenyuka kusho ukuthi uyindoda.
It just means you're a provider.
That's just a gender role. That's your responsibility as a man on earth to take care of those that you bring forth. But in terms of being a man, a father, it's beyond that. It's all emotional. It's based on your emotions. It's based on the time that you will allocate for your kids and the sacrifices that you are willing to go through for them. That's being a father. So if it means, Uguti, you walk out of an interview that's about to start for a job that pays you, I don't care however there's the amount, and they call you and say, Ulimele, are you willing to then say, guys, in panelist, can I just reschedule this if it's possible? If not, it's okay. I'll reapply again. But my son needs me. That in itself, that small act of being there and carrying him and saying, Taname, that for him, that's like a sign or a gateway to say to him, you are important. And once they know that they are important to you, that's the sign to them to say, this is what a father is. This is what I'm expected to do. Now, the reason why I'm saying it's scary, it's because naming shayang mis. Because remember, there was no one that was portraying that to me to say, Kwenzwa so. This is how it's done. This is what you do. This is what it means. So nami sometimes ngazi because I don't know. So it's the blind are leading the blind.
But I think for the fact Yoguti, there's a willingness to do it. There is progress right there.
Yes, sir.
I had a one-on-one with Umfana Musi, and I was saying to him, hey, my boy, ubaba kumushile. I was honest, he's not even 15. But I knew, I think in my head it was, the age being and I remembered that is around about the age where things started going haywire. And I said to him, hey, come, we need to speak, man. There's something I need to tell you. And he says, what is it, Baba? Baba kumoshile and of course, was age appropriate for him.
Yes, sir.
But I made him see that there are many decisions that I made that affected him negatively. And I'm just mainly because I put pride up there. I put Inyugo up there, and I put even if the title of the story was I want to get out of or whatever that means. But in the manner in which I did it, emotionally, and all of those things have negatively impacted you. But now that you can see what I did, my boy, I am not going to and say correct it. All I am asking is process this. And all I'm asking is for you to hear me out when I say, if you don't put God first right now, and if you don't become the black sheep of your class, like class in lane, if you don't become the black sheep and say, nah, I'll pass.
Yeah.
I'll pass on that path, my brother. Must jump
Yeah.
So if you don't do that, then uzozithola ukule sithu
Repeating the
babakho
same, yeah.
ebeka kuye and because angicava ukuthi what have I passed on to you, I might have put you in the right position to do it, and I was honest to him. And the reason I did that was because of what you're saying. It's scary.
It is.
To think ukuthi iyakhula seyaqala iyabhesa.
Yes.
And I really want the best for him. But I think it starts with that. Ulisiko was saying that, and I processed it, and I said, are fathers and mothers out there actually decoding what they did? Are they processing what they did?
Yeah, and you know, it's really sad how the rest of the world is being shaped now, because all the values that we used to uphold the most, that really gave meaning to what humanity is, they're totally falling apart.
Liberalism will kill us.
Yes.
And thank you. That drives us straight into Ubuntu.
Yes, sir. Same conversation we were having earlier with...
I think it must be God, because nama ngiyothenga amagwinya laphana khona indoda efike yafohla nje yangeqa yakhuluma nomnikazi weshop ngathi awubhuti wami ushuthi nje
wena ubona isihlahla
angiyena umuntu mina, you know, and Ubuntu is that it's acknowledging that we are, I am because we all are. But I think the reason I was able to stay in touch with the concept of Ubuntu is because I've always been able to draw parallels between Ubuntu and the laws of Jehovah.
Yeah.
Literal parallels.
Yeah.
Like there is absolutely nothing outside of that context except for worship.
Yes, sir. I mean, he says it even himself, but we must look out for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why he's put us in the same earth, breathing the same air. If he wanted, he would have given you your own universe.
Yeah.
And no, it's quite hard, Mbuff. It's quite hard. I mean, my biggest fear, I think, for my son, well, both for my son and daughter, because I must then, I got daughter, it's even worse, because then I must then raise her as a good daughter, but also equip her with skills that say, if a man comes in this mirror, that's not correct. So it's double the work for her, because then I must teach her to be confident and rely on herself, but also have that openness to accommodate another man who possibly won't be what her dad is.
Or was,
you know. So, well, I'm planning to live until 500 years.
God bless you, my man.
Yeah, so hey, it's hard, Buff. It's hard. You know, I was looking at him this morning and I was telling him while he was bathing, good Buff, you constantly have the water on, but you are away from the water. Rather, switch it off. And it's those little moments that you look at and you're like, imagine if he didn't have anyone to even see that. And he would constantly just do it and run the bill up, and you know.
And it is a gift. It is a gift to, I mean, speaking to fathers right out there, you know. I mean, I messed up, and I know I messed up big time.
So
and but now I know it is a gift to show him how to plant a seed.
Yeah.
That moment shared, because nobody showed me.
Yeah.
Well, let me say nobody. But I would have longed for my father to show me how to plant a seed, why to plant a seed.
Yes, sir.
Why is it important to grow food, or whatever the case is. It's a blessing to experience that father-son time out where maybe beg diski, if that's the thing of the home, or you know, sharing last week, I mean, I was literally showing ulentuzana umama sendlini ngithi mina kubusi ukhona la uye bekufanele ngabe ngimbambisa le drill ngimbonisa ukuthi le drill wanje
yes.
But unfortunately I see him on my holidays, and so I am missing out on that.
Yeah.
So whenever they are home, I savor that moment.
Yeah.
And also I wonder, since we are having so much issues with our boy child, Uguti, will you not regret as a father time spent with the boys out there and your son sorted with all the toys he needs?
Yeah. That's another sad moment. Uguti, gadgets and the internet has replaced us as fathers. Because we now can afford, because you know. So make it Daddy, I want a PlayStation. Just to keep him quiet, you give him a PS5. But he doesn't need a PS5. What he's probably saying is, because he's seen you watching soccer, PS5 has soccer games as well. So he was basically saying, come play it with me. Spend time with me, not necessarily Uguti, get rid of me, you know. Take your son to the stadium, take your daughters to the stadium, play games with them. Now we have time in our house where Manje, it's just said because of my exams. But after my exams, every weekend we play cards, dog.
Mara, if Bruce, I mean, I know your home, Bablikwap, and I know what we are saying at this point. But I also know who I was and who we were.
Yes, sir.
And it's usually tight, Yamachita.
Absolutely.
Masina machita. It's usually tight. Not usually ipuku December wonke. That holiday, that weekend, and before you know it, the whole December, let's say.
Yeah.
And it could be the whole year. The whole December. Ingosi yami ngibone ekseni before ngiphuma ntambama asking him ukuthi ugrand na
because busy push card lakho ngaphandle ukuthi I must make means.
But before we know it, he needs to be a father.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what will happen is you'll be in your deathbed akubuza ukuthi why didn't you teach me how to be a father or how to show up as a good person? Because once we miss that opportunity of showing the boy child what a father or a provider, a protector, a keeper, a healer, or head of the house is, how is he going to run his own house? How is he even going to run the country, let alone his own house? So without us portraying that, without us showing that, we are doomed as a nation. We are doomed as the whole country. We are doomed. Because it's very important for us to show what the boy child is. We're having conversation about ukuhlolwa kwamantombazana.
Yes.
You know, you would regularly think, ukuhlolwa uyangena. Okay, let's check you. Okay, you are okay, go. They have conversations.
Yeah.
Abogogo would tell them stories, you know, would speak to them. How are you feeling today? How are you doing at school? They invest in their emotions, their well-being, their social skills. They even teach them how to speak and say no, you know.
Yeah.
They tell them when your uncle touches you like this, it's wrong.
Go wrong.
Come, tell your dad. If your dad doesn't listen, tell us.
Yeah.
Who tells that to the boy child that when you look at a girl in a specific way, that's abuse in a way.
Yeah.
When you are harsh to a girl, that's abuse. That's why you see GBV going sky high, because so I lost it and I'm shy. Just because you lost it, it doesn't make it right. And it's not right. Where did they see the distinguishment between right and wrong when we don't teach it?
Yeah, but I think I'm just following on the thread your thought to say if a boy has a relationship nomuntu wesilisa,
yes, sir.
and if that relationship is close, chances are we will start having discussions about intombi.
Yes.
I was quite close no baba mncane wami.
Okay.
And wangikhatha leya muntu ngoba wangifundisa ubusoka.
Imagine.
But no, I cherish those moments.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, when we are close, then kuba ne vulnerability, yes. And then we are able to start having discussions about intombi, umuntu wesifazane.
Yes.
Inkosikazi into enjani?
Yes.
Yini inkosikazi, and you find angazi mina, I mean of course I don't have stats, but I would say ukuthi I hlonipheke intombazane emntwini oyibhohuzayo.
Yeah.
Akahloniphekile kuye. She is merely occupying a space that she's supposed to occupy as an object, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe severity yakhona vele iarrange, but at the end of the day, mangabe ubaba wakho ke wakuxoxela ukuthi intombi iyahlonishwa, umuntu wesifazane occupies an important role next, yes, to the man. I do believe ukuthi lokho would perhaps help you look at intombi in a different way.
Yeah. It does. I think, but this is a quite, for me, it's close to my heart because I've got a son and a daughter, and I was raised by a family that's there but not there at the same time.
Yeah.
They were there physically, but emotionally for me, they were not there. Couldn't go to my dad on my first relationship, hey, Baba Pela, or whatever,
yeah.
Just speaking to him about my emotions that I felt.
Yeah.
Right now, the only emotion that I can assume and not even stand corrected, but family stand in that thing, Yoguti, the only emotion that men really feel is the anger.
Yeah. And behind anger, there's fear.
Yes, sir. Fear is an emotion.
Yeah.
Why can't we concentrate on that? And fear is informed by something that you were not getting or that you are afraid of experiencing. So our anger is always informed by a certain feeling that we don't want to invest and investigate, that will lead us to the core of why we are so angry as men.
Yeah, I mean, with the conversation we've had, we share something. We share a lack of
being seen.
A lack of intimacy with our fathers.
Yes, sir.
And that is why we become emotional when we speak about our sons.
Yes, sir.
It touches our hearts.
And
so, but I take it as healing.
Yeah, it is healing. But like I was saying earlier, it's the blind are leading the blind. I think I've always said this, and I don't know how to even put it, but by the grace of the Lord, there are certain things that I get exposed to and I adopt easily.
Yeah.
I've started going for counseling. Just randomly, I just figured, let me go and find out what's really going on,
Yeah.
And only to find that my biggest anger, or the thing that informs my anger, was not being seen by my dad,
yes,
my mom,
yes,
and the rest of my family.
Yes.
Because we are so, especially in a marriage context where you would always want your wife to do this and that and that and that and that and that and that. You have so many expectations without even communicating them, and you're like, but I'm expecting you to know this. Conversations with our sons, with our fellow brothers, with our colleagues, with our friends, and say, Marbafu, we have manje so uyabheda.